History inspires leaders. It also provides them with role models for dealing with complex issues and challenges. Tonight at the old state capitol, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell will be addressing that very subject as he looks at Kentucky lawmakers and the evolution of leadership in the U.S. Senate. Senator McConnell, thank you so much for joining us. How do you use history personally on a day-to-day basis in the U.S. Senate?
Almost every day. I mean, I'm a constant reader of American political history, which is related to my job, and I find the lessons of history keep repeating themselves.
Tonight, Senator McConnell talked about sort of the evolution of leadership. And how do you think the study of history can help people become leaders?
Well, I think it broadens the perspective. You see things that have been tried before, things that have been done successfully, unsuccessfully, just to see how things recirculate in time. Issues that we're facing today in Kentucky are very similar to ones that they did before. I happen to be a student of the history of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and it's interesting to go back and see what they were debating in the 30s and the 40s. Very similar to types of things today: taxation, infrastructure, how do we build roads, how do we do commerce, that sort of thing.
I think it's valuable whether you're in politics like I am or just a regular citizen. This great country needs to be studied over and over and over again in order to continue to prosper.
So as head of the Kentucky Chamber, how often do you feel like you use history on a regular basis?
I would have to say on a daily basis, because it gives you that perspective by which you make decisions. The study of philosophy and history, I think, broadens your perspective where you don't just come at a problem from the financial angle or the legal angle or the human resource angle. You blend those things to try to get a solid decision.
I don't miss a day of not applying some lesson I've learned by reading American history to my work.
So if a high school student came to you and said, I'm thinking about going to college and then possibly law school,
right,
would you encourage them to study history, and if so, why?
Our judicial system is built off precedent. And so a good student of history will know instinctively how it has impacted the way we view court cases now. And so I think anyone who aspires to go to law school should really take history seriously, learn from it, learn the good things from it and the mistakes that have been made, and use those to chart their own path.
American history to me has been endlessly interesting and fascinating and very much related to what I do every day at work.
History is full of leaders. You can't look in the future for a leader, you have to look in the past to find them. And I think the men they talked about, Barkley and Blackburn, were great leaders and represented Kentucky very well. And even their failures, because then you can learn off of those. So I think going back and looking in history at our leaders is incredibly important for us.
Well, Kentucky has a rich political history, as the Senator alluded to, ever since our founding days. Even when we were part of Old Virginia, Kentucky has been an incubator of leaders on the national level. And for me, I've always been appreciative of history. In order to know where you want to go, you need to know where you come from as well. And for me personally, to see him deliver this speech at the old state capitol kind of has inspired me to go back and dust off some of my history books and learn a little bit about our past.
So as Commissioner of Agriculture, do you feel like you use history on a regular basis?
Absolutely. Like right now, as soon as this morning, we had an announcement about bringing back industrial hemp as a viable crop. That's a crop that my family used to grow right here in Franklin County during World War II because the U.S. Navy needed rope. And so when I look back at the historical perspectives about crops such as tobacco or canaf or other crops that have traditionally thrived in Kentucky, it's important to understand the historical context as well, especially when you're considering policy changes, both at the national and state level.
So tonight you spoke about several Kentuckians who provided leadership in the U.S. Senate. Who are some of those other Kentuckians who have really inspired you as part of your work?
Well, of course, the most significant Kentucky senator was Henry Clay. I haven't read everything that's been written about Henry Clay, but I've read a lot of things. And whether it was the compromises that he brokered to hold the country together as long as it did before the Civil War broke it up, or just in general how he applied his speaking skills, his personal interaction with people. He was a great role model for anybody interested in public service.
Well, Dr. Kleber, we're here at the McConnell Center. So I noticed that the three tenets of the McConnell Center are leadership, scholarship, and service.
Yes.
Now, thinking about the leadership tenet, how do you all use history to sort of show how history can inform future leaders?
Well, one way we do it is by the readings of great leaders of the past. And we spent a whole year studying the life and career of Henry Clay.
Now, you were at Senator McConnell's talk at the Old State Capitol.
Yes.
And first and foremost, what was it like to hear McConnell speak in the Old State Capitol and in that setting?
It was a perfect purview for that. I'm glad that he decided to give this, I think, last speech of his series at the Old State Capitol. Watching him there, and looking around, I was thinking about all of the people who served in that over the many years when it was an active state capitol, and it continues in a political vein. It was the perfect place to do it, and it was a great afternoon.
Well, now you've studied Henry Clay extensively, so what do you think are the greatest leadership lessons that Clay can teach?
Well, his main leadership ability, I think, was the ability to convince people that he was right and talk from the heart, plus the fact that he could compromise his own beliefs and the ability to get the things done. He knew he had to get things done more than anything else.
Well, tonight Senator McConnell talked about the evolution of leadership, and how in the past have you used history to inspire you as a leader?
Well, this was very interesting today because I think the important thing about the Kentucky Historical Society is that we should be looking at this as a place that inspires future leaders by learning more about the past and what's gone before us. And I try to do as much as I can to learn about Kentucky history. I was delighted today to see him highlight Senator Joseph Clay Styles Blackburn, who's an ancestor of mine. Anything that we can do as Kentuckians to learn more and understand about our past mistakes and our past successes, I think helps to inform the future decisions that we make.
So as you've studied history over your lifetime, what are the greatest lessons of history that you've learned that have inspired you to be a leader?
That it always repeats itself. I mean, you can study American history at any given point, and you'll find something relevant to what's happening today. And you can look back at how solutions were achieved in the previous era and apply many of those solutions to the problems you have today.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for being here at the Old State Capitol.
If history is important to you, please like our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share with your family and friends.